All right, we'll start with the easy ones. Let's talk about your 18 jersey.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
Yeah, it means everything. To have that, responsibility, that honor, it's amazing. I'm very grateful. I'm very thankful, that I was selected to wear that number, and I hope to live up to the standard. And when I can think about, when I was a freshman, one of the first guys I saw wear 18 was Damone Clark, and that's what I think of when I think of 18 is how he interacted. He took me under his wing a little bit as a freshman. I played a decent amount early on there, and so he was one of the guys that I felt like always lifted me up and always gave me words of encouragement and kept me going. And so I feel like whenever I want to be 18, I feel like almost kind of want to be like him a little bit. So that it's an honor, and so I'm super grateful.
What have you done this fall to improve yourself? Like, was there anything that you kind of whiteboarded and said, let's do this?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've been very specific about not sharing those type of things, and that's kind of personal for me, just what I needed to improve on. And, I have been very open at times about there are obvious things that I need to do a better job of, such as taking care of the football and using my legs and things of that sort. So I feel like I've done a pretty good job of becoming a better player. And so I'm really excited for the opportunity to try and go put that on tape. Yeah, obviously there are small and big things. I think there's both. As I've said before, just having a full season last year to be able to study and go through and make corrections on, that was kind of huge for me this offseason. Before last year, I was watching other guys do it and trying to learn from them. But having the opportunity to actually watch myself and correct myself on things like technique and also schematically, it was huge.
That's great, and I can appreciate that. But like last year, Brian even said it. At times, like they were just asking you to be superhuman, right? So like, how much do you have to give yourself a little bit of grace, but also realize that you got a lot more weapons maybe to work with this year than you have in the past?
Well, definitely. In watching that, there were also some pretty good things on tape too, as well. And so having confidence in that also, and knowing like, hey, I can improve in these areas, and I can still do the same things here, and I think the product will be pretty darn good. And so, there are definitely some things that I can go back and watch and things that build my confidence up as well. It wasn't just, bad things. Obviously I'm very hard on myself, and I want to be the best I can be. So I'm very stiff on the corrections that need to be made. But, as I said, just also having confidence in the things that did go well last year.
You've seen roaring stadiums for 4 years now. How do you approach going in there and trying to win a game in a place like this?
Yeah, it's going to be a hostile environment. It's a very special place, very storied program, and obviously, they have a really cool environment there. So I think for one, just embracing that opportunity to go into an arena like that, to place like that, and to try and silence a crowd, I guess you could say. That's kind of your mindset when you're playing a big road game. And we've played in some stadiums that are unbelievable. Texas A&M, South Carolina last year, Florida. We played in some big-time places. So it's nothing new to us, but I would say that their place is one of those places.
Coach Kelly's spoken very highly of Braylon snapping the ball, communicating up front to the offensive linemen. How are those guys doing, and how do you think they'll protect you in this atmosphere?
No, I'm fully confident in those guys. As I've said before, they've done an unbelievable job stepping up, and Braylon has done an unbelievable job being the driving force of that unit, and being the center. It's almost like playing quarterback, right? You take charge and you take control of that group, and you got to communicate things and be loud and do different things. And so I think he's done an unbelievable job in leading those guys, and I think all the young guys who have had the opportunities to grow into their roles have done an awesome job, from spring to now. And so, this isn't just something that's been started the last 4 weeks. We've been building on this for the last 6 months. And so, I'm super excited for those guys, and I have full confidence in them, and I can't wait for their opportunity.
It felt like this offseason y'all just reloaded. Obviously, you had a lot of wide receiver additions, Barry, and you still have Chris, number 1 freshman wide receiver, Caden Durham. Just in taking in the whole offense, what are you most excited to see showcasing the offense that maybe we didn't see in fall camp or we didn't see enough of that you feel like is really going to be the pop for this team?
I think, for one, as I've said before, you're going to see a lot of different things. You're going to see a lot of versatility and a lot of explosiveness. I think that's one thing that when you have the amount of weapons that we do and the different body styles and body types, at receiver, at running back, at tight end even, I think you'll see a lot of different things, and I think you'll see us move the ball around well. I think you'll see a lot of different guys touch the football, and I think it'll definitely be an exciting offense to watch.
I'm just thinking, I know you and Joe's relationship and kind of the way it is. Do you get a little bit louder voice, now that you kind of get to a little pick and get a little bit more input, I guess, as far as how things go?
Well, one thing I've always loved about Coach Sloan is he's super invested in making sure the quarterback is good with what we're doing. You know, even from when I had no say, when I was just my first game starting, he still, if I didn't like something, he was throwing it out. You know, and if I wanted something, he was calling it. And so I think that's what makes Coach Sloan so special, is he understands how important it is to make sure the quarterback's comfortable with the play. And so, you know, as you said, you know, our relationship's very strong. You know, I think almost he knows what I'm thinking before I even say it. You know, and so just, you know, a benefit of being here for so long, I guess you could say, and spending 4 years with Coach Sloan. Like, you know, I think there are times where I know what he's about to call, and there are times I think that he knows what I want him to call, you know. And so having that relationship is special and something I look forward to.
You were talking about versatility a second ago, and every time we're out there, it seems like Juwan Johnson has lined up in a different spot.
Yeah.
What do you expect from him, maybe his impact on the offense?
Yeah, I'm super excited for Juwan. You know, he's done a lot of different things. I mean, he moved into the quarterback room, and he's been moving around, and so super proud of him and the way he's attacked each opportunity. And I think you'll see a lot of different things, you know, a lot of different ways for him to get the football, a lot of different opportunities, and I think he's ready for it.
When your dad was doing interviews with the Saints, with the media, he said Garrett understands his responsibility. He understands his role as the LSU quarterback. What is that responsibility?
Yeah, I think for one, I think what he means by that is one, just being a leader, representing LSU, representing my teammates the right way, and you know, now representing 18 the correct way. But also, when you play football and you play quarterback at LSU, you got weapons, and so you'll always have them. You always, you know, all the past quarterbacks have, and all the future quarterbacks will. And so, just being a distributor of the football, giving the guys chances to make plays, putting the ball in playmakers' hands. So I think that's the biggest thing, is just, you know, doing my job, doing my responsibility, and giving those guys chances to make plays.
On a lighter note, I saw the commercial you did with Gordon, the new one where you're calling the plays and whatnot. NIL opportunities and whatnot, does that put more pressure on you because, okay, now I've got people that are sponsoring me and I'm representing, or is it just the same job it always is?
It's always been the same, I think, for me, you know, keeping the main thing. And, you know, I've been very open with companies and things like that about what my priorities are, you know, and they're very well aware of what I'm focused on. You know, I don't do things during the week. I don't compromise that. So I don't feel an extra responsibility at all. You know, I think that's a totally separate thing, and it's an opportunity to step into an NIL world that has grown and has become something that I think is very special for athletes. And so I think it's totally separate. You know, at the end of the day, I'm a football player. I'm a quarterback for the LSU Tigers. So.
You know, we love to talk about Trey'Dez Green, right? So I'd like a little about that. I think of kind of that Joe Chase, you know, relationship of just throw it down there, he's open. But Bauer, to me, I see Bauer being the great complement to this offense, I guess. Just kind of, what do you see in his game and how those two complement one another? Yeah, I mean, it's special, you know. When you have two tight ends that are able to do so many different things, you can do a lot of different things. And so Bauer's a very special football player. You know, his playmaking ability with the ball in his hand, he's able to go up and make plays. And so, you know, just giving both of those guys opportunities, you know, as we did last year with Trey'Dez, I think you'll see the same type of thing with him, and putting the ball in his hands, allowing him to make plays, and the same with Bauer. You know, I think we have equal trust in both of those guys. And so anytime either of those guys has a one-on-one opportunity, you know, they're winning. And so just giving those guys opportunities to make plays, as I've said before.
You and Chris Hilton, 2 5-year seniors, I guess when you first came in, you were running maybe, I don't know, the scout squads are right, but you're now the leaders of the team. What have you seen out of him, his ups and downs, and now he's healthy and ready to go? Yeah, I think Chris's story has been really special. And, you know, I think he's had to overcome a lot of different things, and he's had 2 injuries that cost him a season. And so I think Chris has fully grown into not only who he wanted to become as a player, but also as a man. I mean, as a leader. You know, he's a SWAT leader. He does all the right things. He steps up. He's very a lot more outgoing than he was when he first got here. And, you know, I think Chris is bound for a big year. And I think also as a receiver, he's grown as well, just polishing the different things. I think when you have opportunities to step back, and, you know, you don't want to be hurt, but when you have that opportunity to step back and really just digest and kind of go into your game and fix things, it allows you to really be honest with yourself and make corrections and get better. And so I think Chris did an unbelievable job of that, just continuing to become a full package receiver. And Caden Durham, he's a freshman last year. He leads the team in rushing, and he grinded through a lot of the year with an injury, right? I mean, how much better do you think he can be as a sophomore, healthy? Yeah, I think the sky's the limit for Caden. You know, he's an unbelievable player, and so, you know, we've been working hard on our run game and trying to make things better in that aspect. And so I think that, you know, we're at a really good spot, and I'm looking forward to watching him and seeing what he's going to do.
It's your second year as a starting quarterback, but this time you come into it with more expectations and mock drafts to look forward to and things like that. How has your approach to this season been different considering those kinds of factors?
Yeah, well, it's the same for me. At the end of the day, my job is to help us win ball games, and it was the same for me last year, doing everything I can. And I think I've gotten better as a player, and I think that will handle the rest of it. But the expectation is the same for me. I always have a high expectation for myself and what I believe I can do, and so I don't think there's a change in that.
Garrett, everybody's going to harp on it all the time. Since you've been here, you haven't won a season opener. This is a tough opponent.
Yeah.
We walk around this building and we see 1-0 everywhere. What makes this team different, though, than years past? What makes you confident you guys can get it done?
Yeah, I think one of the coolest things you've seen, and Coach Kelly mentioned in his press conference the other day, is the confidence that we have. We are walking around with the confidence, and I think it's because of the work that we've put in. I think it's a true and it's a real confidence. We really have worked so much harder, I feel like, and not just saying we're working harder, but doing the correct things that lead us to being able to go 1-0. And, as you said, just walking around seeing the 1-0 things around the building. And I think it's just constantly engraved in our brains right now that we have full confidence that we're going to go out there and handle business.